If you're an aspiring guitar player who's trying to learn how to sew together your own instrumental songs, then this is a video for you. The techniques I'm going to show you in this video will really help you to be on your way with regards to the structure of your song. These are techniques that are used by awesome guitar players, awesome instrumental artists such as Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, etc. Stay tuned, check it out. I believe it'll be helpful to you. Hey, what's up people? Guitar from the Heart here. This is Dan. And today I wanted to talk about another technique that I use for making melodies, making melodic situations happen in instrumental guitar songs. I'm going to be beating the same horse of themes and variations, but I want to add another dynamic to this that I think will be interesting and kind of open up to you a little bit of my mindset. So first I want to take you over to this thing that I drew, and then I'm gonna take out the guitar and show you a real life example of this. Let's dive in and check this out. So first, I have here the example of, in themes and variations, we have what we call the theme, which is really our primary melody, okay? So like, however the song starts, the first melody that you hear that kind of repeats itself a couple times in the beginning, this is the theme. And I just represented, because this is kind of like how I visualize melodies. I drew, kind of the ups and downs of how the melody flows in pitch. And then as the song progresses, maybe you repeat that melody once or twice to kind of get it into the listener's head. And then you can move forward and go to the first variation, which is kind of like, let me show this here side by side. You see, it's kind of like the theme. It starts off the same way, but maybe the ending is a little bit different on the first variation here, right? And then maybe you go around again, and the second variation ends different from both of those. So maybe here you did a big bend and, I don't know, slide down and back up, and then here you do it, instead of doing that bend that you did on the first variation, you do it again. Whatever sounds good. You use your ears, you use your gut to determine these things. And then say maybe for the third time around, you even take up the whole thing, like maybe the primary theme or a variant of that theme, or even another variation that's not shown here for your taking it up an octave variation. And you can keep doing this, and you can keep kind of bending and shaping. And this is what I've been talking about for a while. Now today I want to introduce a concept, and I don't know what you call this in music, because I can't say that I really encountered it in my studies in college. I only took a couple classes. Well, I only took one class in college for music theory, and it was mostly scales and like circle of fifths and stuff like that. And in the history class, I learned some of the terminologies, but I don't recall receiving any knowledge of this, like what you actually call this term. So I'm going to call it the second melody. Maybe some of you guys out there actually know what this is really called. But I'm going to call it the second melody, because that's the way I see how it functions in real life. All right, so like when you're playing an instrumental, you write your melody. And by the way, this could be instrumental guitar, but it could also work for like if you're a singer, songwriter, and you're trying to come up with, a way to make the song more interesting rather than repeating the same thing over and over again. You drop that main melody, you get it in the listener's head, then you start to add more and more dynamics to it and change it up here or there, based on how you feel, based on what makes it work in this scenario. And then while you're switching to a different section of the song, meaning, what do I mean by this? I mean, the backing chords are going to change during this part of the song. So say in the first portion when you were doing your theme, your main melody, you're always going to have backing chords, right? A chord progression. So maybe it's in a key of G, you're playing a G, you're playing a D, you're playing a C, the ambulance is playing whatever key it's in, and then, I don't know if you could hear it, but like a really loud ambulance. But anyway, you're playing that G, that C, that D, and then you're throwing a melody that works with those chords over it. And that's how your theme works, and your variations of that theme will work over that chord progression too. But now, in order to make things a little bit more interesting, you can switch into a different chord progression. And what I like to do for this is switch to either, sometimes you can do the same chords and switch and start to play a secondary or a second melody, a different melody that works over those chords, but it kind of sounds like if things are moving in a different direction, something's developing, if you kind of get what I mean. And I'll show you on the guitar what I mean in a couple minutes. But you're putting a different melody over that same chord progression. Or another way, rather, is you can make a different chord progression for this different section of the song altogether. And then once you have that chord progression as your harmonic background, as your kind of atmosphere that you're creating for the mood, then you can naturally create another melody. But what you want to try to do is kind of shift the mood from the theme. When you go into the secondary melody, you want to shift the mood a little bit to where it feels like the song is changing a little bit, but it's still the same song. And that's just a matter of using your ears, guys. But this is a really cool technique that I use in conjunction with themes and variations whenever I'm writing instrumental songs. Let's go take a look at the guitar. Anyway, I showed here before we do that. So that was the theme, right? And you see the second melody is something completely different, because either you have different backing chords or you have something else going on in the front. Even though you have the same backing chords, you have something else going on in the front that allows you to, by throwing a different melody on top, it makes it feel like it's moving in a different direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the guitar and I'm going to show you my thinking when I wrote this song that I made, Hope Breaks Through. It was my first instrumental song that I actually put together. And I'm going to show you, first take you through the variations of it, and then I'm going to show you how I went about actually creating this secondary kind of melody. All right, let's do it. All right, let's start the instrumental. It starts with the main theme, which I'm going to play here. This is the main melody. It repeats. We repeat it here to drive it home, to help the listener remember it. My cat likes it too. Now that's our first variation there. The end of it. This is the second melody. Notice the background music was the same there. Now that we've done the second melody, we come back and drive that main melody home. By putting a secondary melody, we made the main melody all that more interesting when we returned to it. Alright guys, so that's the concept of the second melody. Another melody that you put somewhere in your song, ideally when the section changes up. and it gives you another dynamic to your song, keeps it moving along, and then you can always return back to your theme and crush it. So that's all I got for you today. Remember to play the guitar from the heart when you do play the guitar, and have fun with that. I'll see you in the next video. For the time being, just enjoy the rest of the song. Take it easy.